Here's my review of My Adventures with Superman episode 6. Like every episode, I enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed this one because it did feel pretty unique as we pick up after the last episode when Jimmy was captured by a gorilla who I thought was Gorilla Grodd, but it turns out he was captured by a gorilla known as Monsieur Mala. And this is a really interesting episode because it did feel really weird, but it was just really cool just seeing these cool, unique characters that I've never even heard of. And we find out that the reason that they wanted to kidnap Jimmy is because they wanted his brain. And it was just a really weird, it was really weird, but at the same time, it was just really good. It was just so odd. Monsieur Mala and then Brain are like a couple, and it doesn't really make any sense, but at the same time, you care about them. Like, you see some cool parts of their backstory. And it was surprisingly just really, really engaging. I say surprisingly as if the show hasn't always been great. I mean, if I had any complaints, I would say that it didn't really feel like there was that much of Superman, but you definitely do get him in this episode. Like, I did think that there were some great moments with Clark and Lois, with Clark kind of being mad that, like, Clark didn't reveal that he's Superman to her earlier. And it's one of those things where, like, that kind of bothers me because it's like, why? Of course he didn't reveal her. Like, why would he want to reveal a secret identity? I mean, I feel like that it's kind of a generic superhero trope, but like it wasn't that bad in this episode. It was just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, we're seeing this again. But like I didn't mind that part. But like I said, I think this episode did a really good job of showing like Monsieur Mala's and Brain's backstory. Like you see how they were experimented on, and it like just makes you care about such obscure characters. Like I don't know how they do it, but it's just so good, and you do kind of empathize with them a lot. And I thought that part was great. But like, but the main kind of plot and conflict, I would say, is Mala and Brain. They needed Jimmy's brain just so they can go to this other universe, and they do eventually get it, but not through his brain, but like through the help of like Superman and like other like things like that. And like I said, I thought this was a really good episode. And the big thing here is Clark revealing himself to Jimmy as Superman, which was also revealed that Jimmy actually knew that he was Superman, and the reason why he was so mad is the fact that he didn't tell him earlier. Like, it felt like, why would he be keeping secrets? Because Jimmy tells Clark everything. And, like, that's what, like I said, it's, like, kind of like a generic trope, like I was just talking about, but I still enjoyed it. And that's one thing I kind of felt was a little bit weird about this episode, is it felt generic at times, but at the same time, it was still great. And I just don't know what it is, but it's still great. And I just love the action in this episode. I mean, everything about it was just really good. And the big reveal of this episode, I would say, is that Ivo is alive. And he wants to figure out a way of how he can create this machine to basically rip Superman out of the sky to kill him. And I am very curious to see where it goes. And I really liked this episode. But yeah, overall, like I said, every single episode of the show, I'm liking. I thought that this was a good episode. I thought that there were some things that I thought were a little bit dumb, that kind of annoyed me at some points. But overall, I still really like this episode, and I'm still loving the show. So yeah, overall, it was good.